Everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Standing Stone podcast. We're coming at you with a
puppy-specific podcast where we answer questions pulled directly from our YouTube channel on other videos, whether they're related to puppy videos or not. But we sent home a litter of puppies recently, and we have another litter going home soon. So thought, what better time than now to answer some puppy-specific questions?
One of the fun things about the YouTube studio, which is the background area for YouTubers and creators, I can actually search things. I pulled up new puppy as a key search for all of our comments and anything that's not already answered, because we do answer a lot of them just on YouTube. We're going to go ahead and pull some of these questions. Let's go ahead and start with this first one.
The first question is from Sally Haugland 3672.
Nice job.
I'm pretty good at these. Is there a place where I can go to see all the puppy training videos listed in one roll? I am new. Well, that is a great question, and you can go to a specific place to find all of our puppy videos, or at least the curated list of them in order of how we suggest you raise and train your puppy. And it is on our online course. So we take all of our best YouTube videos in order of how we would recommend raising a puppy from 8 weeks to a year old, and it's found on our online training course. We have a couple of options. We have one for versatile dogs, which would be pointing breeds like Shorthairs, Vizslas, Weimaraners, Griffs, German Shorthaired Pointers, the list goes on. But we also have an entire training course for retrievers as well. So that would be Labs, Chesapeakes, English Cockers, that sort of thing. And then last but not least, we recently put together a course that is obedience-only course, so no hunting-based goals, but all of the obedience pulled from both courses, and that would be the obedience-only. And it does include retrieving still inside of that, but nothing related to hunting.
Yeah, I think a majority of the people that find our videos fall into the category of working breeds to some extent, and it's important for working breeds to have a job. So even in the obedience-only course, we utilize retrieving as well as a couple other things to help your puppy to have a job.
So that would be where I would recommend finding all of our videos laid out in order, lesson by lesson, is through the course.
Again, that's at standingstonesupply.com/courses.
This is the next question, and it's a long one, so bear with me. It's from Marcy Matthew 4463. How much is the puppy fee for plane? I'm thinking to fly to Nashville to pick up my Rottweiler puppy and drive 12 hours back to Pennsylvania, but it would be easier to fly back and much shorter, 3.5-hour flight. I used to get my dogs from overseas, talk about anxiety until I would go to the airport and cargo and see my puppy traveled well. That's a long time to be in the belly of an Airbus. But they were always happy and looking around the airport when I would finally get to see them in their crate and let them out. And one time I got 2 German Shepherd puppies. They were flying from Germany. They were flying in the same crate, so they had comfort with each other. They were holding each other, curled up together, sleeping when I finally got to them. When you fly international, the puppy has to fly in cargo, but in the cargo pet, not with you on the domestic flights. So it doesn't matter if you're there or not. So this is a great question, and there's a lot to unpack with that. So yes, if your puppy is being flown internationally, you are going to have to put them in cargo. There really is no other option. And as a puppy, I don't know what the requirements are age restrictions wise. We have worked with people that have flown their puppy, but flown their dogs in cargo to us for training in the past. One dog came from Dubai. Some have come from Hawaii, things like that. So that would be a completely different scenario than actually flying with your puppy as a carry-on item in a soft-sided crate in under the seat in front of you. So the fees associated with that truly are going to vary from airline to airline, as well as, if you listen to this question and answer video 2 years from now, I'm sure prices are going to change. So the best thing you're going to want to do is book your flight, then contact the airline and reserve your pet's spot because they only take so many puppies in cabin, and then they'll give you whatever the fee might need to be with that associated flight.
Yeah, most of the airlines work really well with that. It's a very easy process currently today, and it is drastically less stressful on the puppy itself. I feel even than a 10 or 12 hour car ride. If you're outside of 5 or 6 hours, you should probably be considering flying. We've done it a lot, and that is my preferred method. Again, 5-6 hours, that's a pretty simple afternoon, evening drive, depending on who you are. And I don't think that falls into the stress category, but definitely longer than that. If it's a 2-day drive, it's going to be better to fly.
Absolutely. And keep in mind that your puppy is going to grow quickly, and there are size requirements, as well as the size of the crate that your puppy can be in as a carry-on item.
Which is interesting because it's not even weight related. I tried to be able to fly a young cocker that fell into the side of a smaller, but she was older, and there's no age on the high end as far as restrictions go. If you have a toy breed dog, they could fly in cabin with you. They just have to be able to fit in the carrier or the seat, but they don't want them to be super cram-packed in that. So it's kind of got to be a little puppy. And, we were able to fly based on she barely fit the requirements, but it is something to keep in mind. Our working breeds, short hairs or anything along those lines, even Rottweilers or Shepherds, they're going to get big fairly quickly. So you need to fly with them earlier if you're going to do it.
Absolutely.
Great question.
Next question by Kevin Basie, 4566. I have a new puppy. She has been with me a week now. She will be 10 weeks old tomorrow. I have been watching your training videos. I live in Texas as well. Any help would be appreciated. That's a great question. Puppies are a lot of work. There's a lot of things to know, and where you're going with your training goals definitely depends on recommendations on what you need to be doing with your puppy. Not even sure exactly what breed you're talking about, just that she's 10 weeks old. So again, I'm going to talk about our course. Our course is a great option for you to follow along with step by step, lesson by lesson. It is geared towards starting with an 8-week-old puppy and getting you through a year old, but it can be started by older dogs and puppies as well. You just start at the beginning and follow along with the course. Check the boxes on the checklist of where you're at with training. You can fill in the holes if you're missing things, as well as it gives you a really good direction on where you need to be going. Again, I know it sounds like we're talking about the course a lot, but it is a very valuable training tool to help you train your puppy from home, especially if it's a first-time puppy owner or you haven't had a puppy in a while. It gives you a great place to start and a great structure for where you need to be going.
We also, at the bottom of every lesson, have a Calendly link, which is a fun word to say, Calendly, another catchy company name that has a play on words. The link allows you to have access to our calendar and schedule a time slot that works for you. So one of the most valuable things that we have is our ability to talk through, share our experiences, and read dogs and training situations, and being able to schedule something live with you is huge. So if you do get into the course, definitely take advantage of at least one of those calls to kind of get started on how to utilize things, maybe some of your new puppy questions. All of that can be answered. We just set up a face-to-face, and it's a lot of fun. I have not found anyone yet that has said they didn't see a lot of benefit, especially in the first handful of those video calls. So,
absolutely. This is an interesting question, and not necessarily only specific to puppies, but it does relate. So, Ashley Lynn T58. Thank you for discussing the difference in collar vibration strength. I searched and searched for something about that after my puppy was terrified of it and found nothing. Need a new one anyway, so we'll switch to DT. So collar conditioning, it's something that we do with our puppies once they are old enough to start collar conditioning behaviors. Usually that's sometime after they're over 16 weeks old. We start all of our puppies training with positive reinforcement and clicker training, teaching behaviors first, like recall, place training, sit, kennel, all of that. And eventually we move to collar conditioning those behaviors. What we're asking here, or what Ashley's asking here, is about different levels of vibration strength. And it is a common misconception that on most collars, the dial or the buttons that show you the level is regarding vibration. And that is actually, on most collar systems, actually regarding stimulation levels. So starting at 1 to 10, 1 to 25, depending on how many levels you have. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to change vibration strength. Usually it's a all or one with the vibration, same strength of vibration, but it will be different in stimulation levels. So Every dog is different. Their sensitivity levels are different. Some dogs are more sensitive to feeling vibrate than just stimulation because vibrate is kind of twofold. They can both feel the vibration on their neck and kind of hear that buzzing sound that it makes. So they have two senses operating there. Whereas with the stimulation, that's usually just a sensory thing where they can feel it, they can't hear it. So depending on your dog's level of sensitivity, you may work with vibrate, you may work with stimulation, depending on your dog. But we always start with the lowest level that your puppy is going to respond to when we're starting the collar conditioning process.
Now, the biggest thing with the vibrate levels, the one brand that I know of is eCollar Technologies that has a vibrate, the ability to adjust vibrate levels. Now, with that being said, I believe that specific collar, and I'm not an expert here, so definitely fact check me on this one and look into it, but I believe that collar is a vibrate only collar, and you have different levels of vibrate. I don't know of a collar that has the ability to adjust vibrate levels and stimulation levels at the same. And like you mentioned, it uses both senses. So it does fall into the category of more aversive for some dogs, vibrate, I'm saying, than stimulation, because you can fine tune the stimulation. Sometimes stimulation gets a horrible name because of the fact that, and we try and use terms like stimulation or
E-collar,
a sensation and an e-collar instead of we're shocking the dog, which, I mean, if you want to look at that, essentially that is what's happening, but so is
your TENS unit.
Yeah, a TENS unit. So you go to the chiropractor or the massage therapist and they put those on and it contracts your muscles with electrical stimulation to help with relaxation and things of that nature, help to bring blood flow back into those muscles and get them working to help. So it's similar to that process. Now, if it's turned up too high, it can feel uncomfortable or hurt. And when we work with dogs, we need to stay in the lowest level of what they can respond to. And you have, with most of the DT units specifically, you have a ton of flexibility on the bottom end. And that's a big part of why we've used DT for so long and stuck with them is you have enough flexibility on the bottom end that you can use. You can really fine tune that. You do have enough on the high end if you do have a dog that is more strong-willed in a sense of they can tune things out and they do, or just less sensitive, because I have tested it with multiple different people. You put the prongs either on your hand or there's a video of me wearing it on my neck and Kat running the collar. If you haven't seen that one, it's worth a watch. So, but it's one of those things that you have differences. Some people can't feel it until, on the DT collar specifically, can't even feel it until 6, 7, 8 range. Other people can feel it on a 1, 2, 3. And the same thing is going to fall into the same thing's going to happen with your dogs. You have different levels. We have to find the level that works for them. So if your puppy is a little overwhelmed with vibrate, utilizing very low levels of stim is most likely going to be the better option.
And last but not least, I would recommend if you did have a situation where your puppy was quote unquote terrified or overwhelmed by the collar and the situation and seems apprehensive about starting collar conditioning again, we are happy to help. Whether you follow along with a course, reach out to us on Patreon, patreon.com/Standing Stone Kennels, where we can actually set up a live video training session where we can watch what's happening, give you direct feedback in the moment with good timing on how you should be handling the situation so we can help get your puppy past their apprehension or confusion about what's happening with collar conditioning.
Absolutely.
At Egregious Blunder 5395, what do you guys generally do when you have a mama with a single puppy? Do you generally keep the single puppy or let it go to a new home? Have you seen behavioral issues in the mama if they have single pups? So that's a good question. We've actually had 2 singleton litters before. One was out of our muddy litter, and that produced shock. And then one was out of our recent tricks litter, and that produced jinx. And yes, we actually did keep both of those singleton puppies. Not only were those litters litters that were planned to keep a puppy out of, and then when we only had one, the investment of the litter, and not only for our planned progression of our breeding program, we wanted to keep that puppy, but also to continue evaluating how that puppy was developing. Yes, singleton puppies can have attitudes and things like that, especially if not handled properly, because they don't have litter mates to help socialize with, find pack dynamics, establish how to interact properly with dogs. And so as professional handlers, we watch those puppies develop. We allow them to interact and socialize with our additional other puppies or adult dogs that we have, and make sure that they are interacting properly. Socialization is huge, and making sure it's done right is important to us. So we do typically keep those puppies, and so far both of them have been kept for the breeding program. Shock has been a mama herself now, and Jinx is just a puppy. So ultimately the goal is for her to be a mama someday too.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we have seen during this process is not necessarily big behavioral issues. The biggest thing is a lack of understanding how to properly interact with dogs. So it's not behavioral-ish in a sense. It's just more lack of exposure because they didn't have litter mates to play with. So when we've seen them, they tend to be, they lack being able to figure out the reading the room per se. They play too rough with the other dogs around them because they don't know. They're just excited to play and they want to do that. And it does take a little bit. And here we advocate for both. That's a huge thing. Anybody that's bringing a new puppy home, whether it's a singleton or one of any litter, and you have other dogs, that be a dog that's a year and a half or two, or a dog that's 10 or 12, you have to advocate for both in the situation. So the old dog or the older dog can't play too rough and be grumpy and, a stick in the mud. And the puppy can't pick on the old dog too much. So as long as we're helping that, both of them have settled in really well to interaction. And at this point now, everybody plays with Jinx.
Yeah, everybody loves Jinx.
She's figured out, to begin with, it was like, hey, puppy, leave me alone. And now she's just got everybody to where they all love her and everybody wants to play with her. So on the flip side of that, when you look at the socialization aspect of things or something along those lines, that'd be the other side. So we have behavioral things to evaluate and then socialization side of things. I see no issues with that. The way that we develop puppies in our program, in the building, they're getting an insane amount of interaction no matter what is happening. So that singleton puppy almost gets more time, which helps from being more socialized all the way around, I feel like.
And you did ask if there was any behavioral issues that we've seen in Mama. And no, not with their singleton puppies. Both Muddy and Trix are excellent moms. These were not their first litters that they had singleton puppies. So that could be part of the difference. But they did very good job caring for the puppy to the extent where puppy Shock turned into a little toad. And we kind of had to pull Mama Muddy away for a while.
Do we still have a picture of her?
I'm sure I do. I'll try and find it so we can pop it up here.
She looked like a bear. She turned into like a little bear cub that just rolled around on the ground.
Yeah, so we had to kind of cut her off on the milk bar because she had no resources to vie for. It was all access all the time, and Muddy was happy to take care of her. Both Trix and Muddy, great mamas from a standpoint of playing and socializing with the puppies as well. They're good role models, as if you will. So never did we see a behavioral issue with the mamas.
Sorry, that's one thing that we look for and love with moms is when we get done and they start that weaning process, we actually put T-shirts on them and then tie them up in the back so that their milk bar, if you will, is protected from the little velociraptors. But then they get to play with them. And it's so much fun to watch the moms play around in the yard or inside with toys and just showing it's fun. You can tell that they actually love their puppies and they love what they're doing. So
yeah, and it teaches those puppies, too, continued how to play and interact with properly. Corrections get made sometimes, and you see that, and that is dog behavior that moms are teaching and correcting their puppies on how to appropriately play with other dogs. So it's good to see that with them.
It's a great question.
There's one here from Juan Barrios 3097. Hey, quick question. In this video, you said you feed Eukanuba Puppy Pro. In previous videos, I've heard you guys say to choose a large breed puppy food. Eukanuba has a large breed option as well. Is the Performance Pro your guys' new go-to? Thank you. So great question. Sometimes these videos come out before new products come out and things like that. So yes, our Product recommendations sometimes change. So Eukanuba had a large breed puppy food for a long time, and that's what we were using. Recently, and it's not that recently, it's been a few years now, they have a Puppy Pro formula, and it is slightly different than their large breed puppy food, and it is our new go-to. Oh, that's a tongue twister. Things that we like about the new Puppy Pro formula is it does have a slightly higher fat and protein content, which for our working puppies helps keep up with their nutritional needs from a body condition standpoint and feeding them the proper amount. It also has a new designed shape.
With still not being excessive, because we did in the past feed what was considered an all life stages food, and that was in the like 30-20 zone. And some puppies can, especially large breed dogs, can grow too fast. So I feel like it was definitely a better transition from the calorie standpoint for the puppies that we have, because we needed a balance. The other could be too high, and the large breed could be almost a little bit too low, because our dogs specifically, and a majority of these versatile sporting dogs fall into an almost true large breed, where a real large breed would be, I don't know, Newfoundlands and Pyrenees, and like those dogs get giant. So they could grow way too fast. And our dogs, it felt like they needed that balance.
Yeah. And getting back to talking about a slight difference in design of the kibble.
Yes.
So the shape of the kibble is different. The new Puppy Pro looks like a double stacked Cheerio is like what I call it. It's got a hole in the middle, which encourages puppies to crunch and chew, which a lot of our puppies are very food motivated. So slowing them down a little bit and getting them to crunch, chew, and swallow instead of just gulp, gulp, swallow without any of the crunching is beneficial. And it worked really well as far as utilizing them for a training treat. So we use our puppies' meals a lot of times for their training sessions with clicker training, and they're a really good shape, and they can eat them quickly so that we can keep the training sessions going too.
Yeah, I love the new kibble size. That small size with the hole in it makes it easy to crunch up, and it does develop. I feel like our dogs that are developing on the Puppy Pro do a better job chewing their food, which ultimately helps them to keep their teeth cleaner long-term, all of these pieces. So it's good all the way around.
But yes, it is our new go-to because now it is available. Let's see. This is a good question from Fiorel. This one's going to give me a hard one.
Marante. I don't know. 1608.
Fiorel Amarante, 1608. That's what I'm going to go with.
Okay. I'm in.
What if you accidentally cut the puppies quick? I don't think it was too bad because it only bled a few drops and stopped. I'm usually very good with that as I have 2 other dogs, but our new puppy is so wiggly, he moved last second and it was an accident. Would this cause them to fear nail trims in the future? Anything I should do for the next one, or act like nothing happened? I'll definitely be trying the Dremel next time. Just got my first retriever pup, so I'll definitely check out your socials and Patreon. Great info. Thank you. So that is actually a great question, and puppy nail trims are huge. They are very important to continue maintaining nail maintenance. I know with our puppies from our breeding program, they literally have had their nails trimmed 1, 2, maybe 3 times a week from the day that they're born. Puppies' nails grow very quickly and need trimmed a lot. Otherwise, they turn into these sharp little scratching devices. So between nail trimming with clippers and dremeling them, it's really important to get them comfortable with that process and maintain that comfort with them. Quicking your puppy can happen. It doesn't sound like it was a bad quick, but becoming familiar with where you should be trimming is important. However, if you do get a tiny drop of blood or 2, that is okay. And I would say treat it like nothing happened. Don't coddle your puppy. Don't go, oh, I'm so sorry. I quicked you. Are you okay? Because then your puppy is going to feed off of that and go, oh, that was a bad deal. That was a big deal. I should be upset about that, instead of saying, oh, this happens. It's okay. I'll be more careful next time.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is if you are trimming nails regularly and you are trimming them short enough, you are going to occasionally get into that quick zone. If you half lopped off their toenail, yeah, that's going to hurt a lot, and it's something you need to 100% avoid. But at the same time, you can't be afraid to move into that zone, because the opposite of that would be not trimming them short enough each time. And when you don't trim them short enough, it actually allows the quick to grow with the nail. And as the quick grows, then you can't trim them as much. And then the nail will get longer and longer and longer and longer to the point where you can only trim this little amount off, but their nails are too long, and it'll cause issues with their ability to move, or they have a much greater chance of breaking them off completely, which is way worse than a little bit of a quick on occasion. So we have a bajillion hours, I feel like, of nail trimming videos where we show the process. The biggest thing to think about is you kind of have to imagine where the quick is and start to understand that process. And as you get to that point, you'll learn, well, I can cut it back about yay far, and I'm not into the quick yet. And then you can start to trim little bits kind of around the outside because the quick's right in the middle. And you have to just imagine, there's the quick there. I'm going to trim the outside, which allows you to take it back a little bit further without, again, quicking them, and then take that grinder lightly to the outside to smooth the edges around. And if you get that drop of blood, it's not the end of the world. It is mildly uncomfortable. Just as long as you're not lopping half their toe off, you will be fine. And yes, you hit the nail on the head. Don't play into it too much. Act as if it was not a big deal, and you'll get better trimming. Just keep doing it.
And to help you get better trimming and your puppy to get better about the trimming process, because they are very wiggly and they pull and they fight you a little bit, we would recommend, even if you're not trimming every day, which you shouldn't be, you can put them in a nail trimming position every single day and get them comfortable in that position, get them comfortable being handled, their paws messed with, their toes messed with, even just turning the Dremel on and putting the back end of it where it's just the vibration feel on their paw, not the actual grinding part, but just the handle that vibrates so they can feel it, they can hear it, be comfortable being handled and hearing it and feeling that vibration on their paw. It's just a process of desensitizing them, and they'll get more comfortable being held in those positions, less wiggly about it, and then they'll ultimately be easier to handle, manage, and trim their nails without them wiggling, fighting, pulling last minute, and an accident happening.
Yeah, I've seen some dogs be fairly sensitive, they're fairly sensitive to the feeling of that Dremel, and exactly what you said. Start slow, and the other side of it, though, is if you start Dremeling and they act as if they don't like that or they're apprehensive to that process, just leaving it on, because I feel like instantly people, turn it off. And again, that plays into if I act apprehensive, you'll leave me alone or you'll stop this process. And then they learn very quickly, I just need to fight a little bit more, and then they'll quit trying to trim my nails. So you can leave the Dremel on, whether you're touching with the back of it so they can kind of desensitize the vibrate, or just leaving it on because it makes noise, and just the noise itself could be what's associating with the startle. So all of the above, keep on keeping on. And we've touched a little bit on this earlier in the episode, but we would be happy to help live with a nail trimming session. I've done that for people as well. Can't help as much with exactly where you're trimming because it's hard to see, but I can help with giving you the confidence to know that what you're doing is okay, or what you're doing is not okay, and how to work through whichever is the process. So.
And the last thing that I'm going to say, just for clarification, because I don't want there to be confusion. So yes, if you're going to Dremel your puppy's nail and they get a little scared or weirded out by it, no, you don't want to turn it off because that's going to give them what they want. But by Ethan saying leave it on, that doesn't mean leave it on and on their
great
nail.
Clarification.
That means just leave it on, pull it away from their nail, but they can still hear it. They can maybe still feel it if you touch the handle part to their paw or to their chest, so they can still feel it. But don't keep that grinding part on their nail because it's going to build up heat and become uncomfortable, or you're going to take too much off too.
Exactly.
So just for clarification purposes.
Nope, that's great. That's great. Hey, I want to read this one. I think I've got it.
The name is really easy. Go for it.
At Tim Zara. Thanks
Good
for
job.
the comment. This one's really good. It says, what size dimensions crate should I get for my new puppy that I'll be bringing home in a few weeks? It's a poodle pointer. Standing Stone offers lots of crate sizes, or lots of sizes, and I can't find a video specifically in a starter size. I already have a large crate. It's a really, really good question, and it's an important one. The level of variance that you get with your crate size depends a lot on the puppy and their development, okay? We typically start with a small crate. And we don't buy, we have Ruffland specific because they are very durable and they last a long time and they hold up well. And we reuse them a lot.
Because we're always raising puppies. So
we raise a few puppies. Yeah. And we actually crate train puppies coming before they're going home. So we utilize different sizes of crates and break the puppies out into small groups and things of that nature. So we utilize a lot of small crates. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend that you, unless you absolutely want to spend the money, to buy these crates because they're only going to last for 30 days or so before your puppy outgrows them. But get a smaller crate at, Walmart, Target, PetSmart, wherever you can find one that is big enough for them to stand up and maybe sit in there, turn around, but not have a whole lot extra room. So it's going to change. Poodle pointers vary in size a little bit and can get fairly large, but the key being you need one that fits them, and then you need a next size, and then depending on your puppy and the level of cleanliness and how the ease of potty training and crate training and how that's going, you may be able to jump to your large crate fairly quickly. Example with Jinx moved into basically during the day, a large crate by the time she was between 3.5 and 4 months old. So very quickly, and she had no issues, no accidents, but we've had other puppies in the past that we've had to make progressions all the way along to where they're 5 or 6 months old. And if we put them in a large crate at 6 months old, they still may have an occasional accident. So as long as you're not having accidents, you can increase the size of your crate. If you are having accidents, try and stay in that perfect size for them to be able to just have enough room for them in the crate.
Yep. And the little extra pieces that I would add to that is that you mentioned it was a poodle pointer, so a comparable sized breed, especially as a puppy, to our short hairs. So that's important. I mean, if you have a toy-sized breed, that small-sized crate's going to last a long time, and it's going to be pretty big for them to begin with. But I like to mention finding something in size comparable to the Ruffland Smalls to start out with. It's a less expensive option in those first 30 days to maybe 60 days, depending on your puppy and how fast they grow, is what we would recommend, but not investing in the expense of the Ruffland because you're going to outgrow it so quickly. Walmart, Tractor Supply, things like that will have an option. I also would recommend not a wire crate. I would want a clamshell or an enclosed style crate. Wire crates aren't the best for a potty training option because if the puppy does have an accident or a mess, it's not going to be contained in that crate. And you're not going to just have to clean the crate and clean your puppy. You're going to have to clean your crate, your puppy, and everything else that they splattered and splashed around in your house. As well as it doesn't create a nice enclosed type of environment that is conducive to calming down and making your puppy feel safe and quiet in this space. They can see out of a wire crate and they feel like they're missing out on something. So it doesn't help them calm down and be quiet. And if you try and cover those wire crates to give the appearance of a small enclosed space, they're just going to pull in whatever you put on top of it into their crate and chew it up and shred it. So blankets, towels, that sort of thing. So a plastic clamshell style crate would be better than a wire crate as well.
It is one of the number one questions that I ask if someone says they're struggling with crate training. What style of crate do you have? And I would say 9 out of every 10, they say, well, we're struggling with crate training. They have a wire crate, and just switching to a clamshell makes all the difference. So
yes,
a bunch of really great questions. Folks, if you would like your question answered as well, please feel free to comment on this video or any video on our channel. That's all the time we have for today. I hope you've enjoyed these answers to the puppy-specific or new puppy-specific questions. I'm the guy with the pink gun.
I'm Kat the dog trainer.
We'll catch you in the next one.